What's up, WordPress Warriors? Patrick Gallagher here. Today is Thursday, May 4th, 5:30 p.m. my time. Not that that really matters because who knows when you're actually going to see this. But once again, here with Calvin, our fearless leader over at the Snicco Fortress team. And so mostly what we wanted to do with this video is to, I'm going to have Calvin kind of recap some of the, the quality of life improvements that have already happened inside of Fortress. We've obviously already launched sort of the easy button version of the install, streamlined a bunch of other things, and then actually I think he's going to share with us potentially a new development in the whole thing and show us what that looks like. So,
right, should I go ahead and share my screen already?
Yeah, fire away.
So, oh, you disabled it?
Oh, of course I did. Of course I did. What proper Zoom recording would be good without a major error like that. So you should be good now.
Right, you can see a terminal on the left and a website on the right, correct?
Correct. Yep.
All right. So yeah, as Patrick already mentioned, we already shipped a ton of quality of life updates. They were mostly related to, see, where's the Zoom video? To the configuration stuff, so that you can have like a little bit more ease and peace of mind when you start to change your configuration, so it's all validated and we have like all the new CLI commands. But I won't go into that. It's documented, like Steve already updated the docs regarding that. What I wanted to show is that, well, when you asked about a roadmap or what's planned next for Fortress, I said there are two things that we already committed to have in the future. One of them being login links, also called magic login links sometimes, where a user basically enters his email and then gets a link that automatically logs him in. The other thing being passkeys. That said, the last week, while Jeff was hammering away at the installer, I kind of advanced this feature. So probably probably within the next week, all of your Fortress sites will have this live, the magic login links feature. And we're just going to now show, or basically this is the first time Patrick sees this as well. And I'm going to walk you through how that works. So by default, as always, we keep the UI super minimal. Like we don't do any invasive stuff and change a bunch of your login pages. Like I was thinking a lot whether I even want to introduce this button here,
right?
Because I like to keep it minimal, but you can turn it off. But by default, it will show a new button here. Send me a login link. When people click it, they get to the intermediate Fortress page, which you can also access through other means, so that you're not tied to using this button here. And this site currently has two users. It has an administrator and it has a subscriber. So let's first check what happens when we request a login link for the subscriber. He gets an email. If he clicks it, he's in. Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty standard stuff. Let's now turn on.
You actually did it too fast. People are going to be like, it's not that easy.
I mean, yeah. So let's now turn on two-factor authentication for that subscriber to see how that works. I'm doing that on the second screen here. All right. Log out. Now, by default, and this is like a big thing that differentiates this, how we did it from other solutions, is the magic link replaces the primary login for low privileged users. It's by default, if you request a link in the UI, it's not a single sign-on link as in the dashboard. I'll circle back to this later. But by default, this user, remember, we now enable 2FA. Now he has to enter his two-factor credentials, and after that, he will be logged in. Right.
Wow.
So, and these links are one-time use only, of course. So if you click it again, you can't reuse links. And obviously, maybe if we have enough time, I'll go into the why this is so much more secure than everything else a little bit later. But right now, I want to focus on the features.
Yep.
So this is what happens for the subscriber. Now let's see what happens for the administrator. So we will still show the success message. Basically, we don't want to introduce any change because in the UI. Otherwise, people could go and then reverse engineer who is an admin, who is not an admin. But what happens is, what happens if somebody uses this for the admin? So this is the username of the admin here. They get an email that somebody has requested a login link for your account, but magic logins are not allowed for your account type. If this was a mistake, ignore this email, nothing will happen. So
right.
basically,
yeah, to your point, they're still seeing it, so it can't be, you can't do like enumeration, right? Like you can't.
Correct. This form here is, first of all, it's heavily rate limited by IP.
Yep.
And second of all, the input from the UI is always the same. So whether you enter like a bogus username, right?
Yeah.
Reload that real quick. So if you enter garbage, you always get this message. So basically, you can't easily enumerate, and you also can't reverse which user has which privileges, because if you were to show an error message here, for example, oh, for your account it's not allowed, you would know that there's an admin on that site with that username, and that he's of some sort of high privilege. So we sent this email basically for the edge case where somebody doesn't know that he can't use it, and afterwards he knows.
Or if he's concerned, or it's just like somebody's trying to troll your account, So,
yes.
Yeah. Okay,
so
cool.
This is so you can access this page always from the login page. You can also disable that in the config. The other way to access that, the same way we did with the 2FA management page, is by using a simple shortcode. So this is rendered by a shortcode in the Gutenberg editor, and then you also get to the page. We like to do it this way because it's the most scalable. So a shortcode or a link basically will work always. Like you can drop that link wherever you're using whatever type of login flow you have on your site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the UI part. Now, I think we also want to show a bit the CLI stuff, because this is going to also play into like how you can automate stuff with GridPaint then later on.
Okay.
What you can do is, as you saw for the, let's do that again for the subscriber, and then you can see a difference. So if a subscriber requests a link, I'll finish my page again to reset the limit. If a subscriber requests a link in the UI and he has 2FA enabled, he doesn't get in straight away, right?
Yeah.
Now you can see the terminal, right?
Yeah.
So as always, we have like full feature parity here. And it's magic, create, and then let's use subscriber. By default, this will output the same link that you get in the UI. So if you click that link, you still have to enter 2FA.
Yep.
But we have a bunch of flags here that you can use. For example, you can use bypass 2FA when generating that link. And now you can bypass it. So this is always useful if you're, for example, maybe like I talked a little bit with Jeff about this, about integrating it in the GridPaint dashboard, but this is super useful. For example, if you can use this for sort of a light version of user switching. If you just need to get into somebody's account and check stuff, right?
Yep.
The different option.
Because once again, you've got root to be able to generate that.
Right, because if you're already in the CLI, you could also just go ahead and run the command to deactivate 2FA for that account. So we allow, but you can never request a link that bypasses 2FA from the UI. That's a big difference. The UI links are always only for primary authentication.
Gotcha.
Then we also have an easy flag to send that link per email. So for example, if one of your clients or whatever logged himself out, then he will get that email. So this email now came from the CLI.
Yeah.
And then we basically, as always, we made a bunch of security pre-configurations so that you don't have to think about this actively. For example, you can't send an email link like this. So you can't send a link per email that would allow 2FA bypass, because then you'd be that would be even worse than compromising the email account would also compromise 2FA, right?
Yeah, right.
So like we just like, we don't allow these things basically. The flag that we have is SSO for single sign-on, which on first glance you might think is the same thing as the 2FA, the bypass 2FA, but the difference is the following. The bypass 2FA will allow you to bypass fortresses two-factor authentication if configured. It will, however, not allow you to bypass, because it correctly hooks into the WordPress authentication flow, it will not allow you to bypass, for example, any restrictions that another plugin might set. For example, by default, WordPress has this function where you mark somebody as a spammer, a user account, and after that, that user account can't log in anymore. So he's prevented from logging in with his password and with his, but with any credentials, basically. And like I can simulate that real quick. Let's see. Okay, there it is. I have like just behind the scenes so I can simulate a login failure, and then you can see the difference. So right now with this configuration, bypass 2FA, you can see now the magic login failed. I just basically set a config flag in the WP config, which makes this fail on purpose on this test site. And you can just see magic login failed, your login link was valid, but you're either not allowed to log in or an error occurred at our end. So this is basically a generic user message for the UI, but the logs would contain all the details on why WordPress disallowed this specific link. But if you generate the same thing now with the SSO flag, that link will bypass it completely. It will just straight up set an authentication cookie and you're in. So SSO is basically that's why it's called single sign-on. It's basically the equivalent to what GridPane is doing when you click the little button icon in the UI. I think that the difference is clear, the difference between those two, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And of course you also can't send these through email for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this is a pretty great feature for example, if your site has customers. So if, for example, the typical example I always like to give, think of you selling like tickets to WordCamp, basically. And you have your, say, WordCamp account that you use to purchase. And basically you only use that account once a year. So the typical flow for most users looks something like this, like go, click forgot my password, request a link, change password, buy tickets, and repeat the same thing next year. This is typically how it goes, because like nobody or most people don't want to remember a password for something they use very rarely, right? Yeah. And this allows to basically accelerate that process entirely, and they just get a straight link and get in. So this is not something that's used, for example, for the administrators or somebody that logs in on a daily basis, because if you use a password manager, you're just way faster. For example, if I use one password here, it autofills all this stuff and you're in way faster, of course. But this is a very nice feature for
e-commerce,
membership sites, learning management, especially when you have like a lot of support requests of users on the regular when they forget their password and you have to reset it for them.
Yeah.
And this is pretty
cool,
much,
man.
So this is pretty much done now. And it's not released, obviously, but I think we will ship this within the next week.
Okay, super cool. Well, nice work as always. I got to wrap it up from my end, but we will hopefully get this one uploaded ASAP. Yeah, we'll just keep cranking on getting new stuff pushed out. So appreciate it,
Always
Calvin.
more
Thank
stuff.
you all for your time, and
Bye.
in the next one.
See ya.
Bye bye.